I think it was probably a very necessary thing at the time because...
Burbank, California, November 12th, 1976. A layer of smog hangs over NBC studios, muting the afternoon sun until it looks less like a star and more like a pale coin suspended in the sky. Out in the parking lot, cars shimmer beneath the haze, but inside Studio One, everything is bright, polished, and ready. The Tonight Show set glows under the heat of television lights. Stagehands move fast. Floor managers whisper into headsets. Cue cards are stacked. Cameras are locked in place. And at center stage, Johnny Carson stands in perfect control, adjusting his tie and glancing over his note cards one last time. In less than 3 minutes, he will walk out in front of America and introduce a man who has already become larger than the country that made him famous.
Oh, that little thing about the
I want to
show,
tell you that was well-deserved and it was beautifully done.
John Wayne is in the building, there to promote The Shootist, a film about an aging gunfighter staring down the end of his life. It is a role that feels uncomfortably close to reality. What Carson does not know yet is that this will be more than a standard celebrity interview. Before the night is over, he's going to be reminded that there is a difference between a man who is popular and a man who has become myth. And before we go further, let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a room with someone whose presence changed the entire atmosphere the second they walked in? Someone who didn't need to say a word to take control of the space? Drop your state in the comments below. And if you enjoy stories like this, make sure you subscribe to John Wayne Legacy Stories, because we're digging into the moments that revealed exactly who the Duke really was. By 1976, Johnny Carson is 41 years old and untouchable in late-night television. He is the smooth voice of America's evenings, the man who can turn a quiet pause into a punchline and a raised eyebrow into a national conversation. For 14 years, he has ruled the most valuable chair in television.
Well, I think I've established in this country that I have a love for it, and the fact that I am well known, I suppose.
Politicians want his approval. Actors need his platform. Singers, comedians, athletes, all of them know the same truth. If you sit across from Carson and win the audience, your stock rises. If you fail, millions will see it happen in real time. Carson knows exactly how much power he holds, and he uses it with careful precision. Then there is John Wayne. Wayne is 69 years old, and by now he is not just a movie star. He is an institution. He has spent 47 years in Hollywood and built a screen image so powerful that it has come to define American masculinity for generations. He is still the biggest box office draw in film history, and unlike most guests who pass through Carson's studio, he does not need The Tonight Show to save or boost his career. He is only there because Paramount wants one more strong push for The Shootist, a film many already suspect could be his last. There is another reason the visit feels different. Wayne has been battling cancer again. Just 6 months earlier, he underwent stomach surgery. The strain shows. He looks older now. He moves with more effort than he once did. There is weight in his face, stiffness in the way he carries himself, a slight slowing that age and illness have forced upon him.
Well, that's not a true statement.
Well,
we were not blacklisting.
Well, you were.
They were blacklisting. We didn't name anybody.
But none of that weakens the effect he has on the people around him. If anything, it sharpens it. The backstage mood changes the moment Wayne arrives. Conversations fade. Production assistants who were joking only seconds earlier suddenly straighten up. Camera operators, men who have worked with every kind of performer imaginable, pause in the middle of routine equipment checks just to watch him pass. Nobody announces him. Nobody needs to. His presence moves through the hall before he does, like weather rolling in. Wayne walks through NBC with the same quality he carried in his films, unhurried, steady, impossible to ignore. He does not rush, and he does not perform. He simply enters, and the room adjusts around him. Carson meets him in the green room about 15 minutes before airtime. They have crossed paths before at industry events, smiled politely, exchanged the kind of short greetings famous men give each other. But this is the first time they have really had to sit in the same room and talk. Carson steps forward with his polished grin and extends his hand. "Duke, great to have you on the show." Wayne takes the hand. His grip is firm, brief, efficient. "Appreciate you having me, Johnny."
Yeah, I'll have a touch. Ooh, this is the kind of coffee I like.
Carson, trying to be warm, adds, "How are you feeling? I heard about the surgery." The reaction is almost invisible, but it is there. Wayne's jaw tightens just enough to be noticed. His face doesn't harden, not fully, but a wall rises all the same. "Fine," he says, "ready to work." That is all, nothing more. Carson instantly understands what just happened. Wayne is drawing a line. He does not discuss pain. He does not invite sympathy. He does not hand over personal weakness for public consumption. Carson has interviewed enough people to recognize a boundary when he hits one. Quietly, he revises the plan in his head. No health questions, no probing, no sentimental detours. "Anything off limits tonight?" Carson asks. Wayne looks at him for a moment, measuring him. Then he says, "Just ask whatever you want. I'll answer what I want." It is such a simple line, but it tells Carson everything. Most guests arrive with conditions, warnings, nervous instructions from handlers and publicists. Wayne arrives with none of that. He plays by his own rules, and everyone around him understands it. Carson nearly smiles because the answer is both refreshing and a little dangerous. This is not going to be a controlled interview. It is going to be a test. Then the familiar Tonight Show theme swells through the studio. Carson steps out onto the stage to a burst of applause. The audience has already been warmed up, already primed to laugh, clap, and react. But when Carson begins to introduce his first guest, the energy shifts. You can feel it building before the name is even finished, because some men are celebrities. My next guest needs no introduction. He's appeared in over 170 films, won an Academy Award, and represents American values to people around the world. Please welcome John Wayne. The reaction is instant and different. This isn't the usual applause that greets a celebrity on late-night television. It's louder, longer, heavier. It carries something deeper than excitement. Respect. The kind that builds over decades, forged through countless roles, countless nights in front of the screen, where audiences watched this man stand tall when others fell. People in that room didn't just recognize John Wayne. They grew up with him. Wayne steps out from backstage. He doesn't rush. He doesn't play to the crowd. Every movement is deliberate, controlled. There's a careful dignity in the way he walks, as if each step is measured, chosen. He wears a dark blue suit, crisp white shirt, and a conservative tie. No cowboy hat, no boots, no costume to lean on, just the man himself. And somehow, that makes him even more imposing.
So we go into the house, we bang on the door, and these people open it. Obviously, they didn't know Duke, and they sure as hell didn't know me.
The applause continues as he crosses the stage. He shakes Carson's hand, firm and brief, then lowers himself into the guest chair. Even seated, he seems to take up more space than anyone else in the room. Not physically, but in presence. Carson begins exactly where he's most comfortable. Safe ground. He asks about the shootist, about Wayne's character, about working with director Don Siegel. His tone is smooth, controlled, familiar. The audience relaxes slightly, settling into what feels like a standard interview. Wayne answers slowly. Every word sounds considered before it leaves his mouth. There's no rambling, no filler, no wasted movement. He doesn't gesture much. He doesn't need to. The authority is already there, carried in his voice, in the stillness between sentences. "The character I play is dying," Wayne says, his tone steady. "Cancer. But he doesn't whine about it, doesn't ask for pity. He faces it like a man. That's what interested me about the role. There's something beneath the words, something unspoken. Carson hears it, the audience feels it, but no one touches it. The room is locked in. No shifting in seats, no coughing, no distractions. For once, even a Tonight Show audience forgets to react. They're not watching an interview anymore. They're witnessing something closer to a final chapter, though no one says it out loud. Time moves differently. 20 minutes pass, and Carson gradually begins to relax. He falls back into his rhythm, the one that made him king of late night. A hint of humor, a touch of irony, that familiar glide between sincerity and subtle mockery. And then he makes a mistake. "Duke," Carson says, leaning slightly forward, "I have to ask, after all these years of playing cowboys and soldiers, do you ever worry people think you actually are these characters? That they can't separate John Wayne, the actor, from John Wayne, the man?" The question lands and doesn't move. It just hangs there. Wayne doesn't react immediately. His face stays the same, unreadable. But something shifts in the room. It's subtle, almost invisible, yet unmistakable. The air tightens. The warmth drains out of the space like someone quietly turned down the temperature. Carson feels it instantly. He knows. He stepped somewhere he shouldn't have. Wayne looks at him, not casually, not politely, directly. 5 seconds pass, maybe less. It feels like forever. No one moves. The audience holds its breath. Camera operators freeze mid-adjustment. Even the band, tucked into the corner, turns to watch. Every eye in the studio locks onto that moment. Then Wayne speaks. His voice is quieter now, but somehow stronger.
And I said, they were secrets then, they're secrets now, and they'll always be secrets. But,
Johnny, I've been making pictures for 47 years. Each word lands with weight. I've won an Oscar, made more money for studios than any actor in history, built a career on playing men of principle. He doesn't break eye contact, not once. So, when people see John Wayne, they see what I believe in. A pause. Honor, duty, keeping your word. Another beat. "If that's confusion," he says softly, "I'll take it." Silence. Not television silence. Not the kind waiting for a laugh. Real silence. Carson, the fastest mind in broadcasting, the man who always has a comeback, has nothing. For the first time in years, he sits still, searching, and finds no words. Because something just happened that no joke can follow. In that moment, the difference becomes undeniable. Johnny Carson entertains millions. John Wayne commands them. Carson lets out a small, nervous laugh, the kind he uses to smooth over tension. I didn't mean to suggest. Wayne lifts a hand slightly, not sharp, not aggressive, just final. "You asked a question," he says calmly. I answered it. That's it. No hostility, no escalation. Just a line drawn so clearly that there's nothing left to argue. The interview continues, but something has shifted, and everyone in the room feels it. The balance is gone. Carson, usually in complete control, adjusts his approach without saying it out loud. The jokes disappear. The playful edge softens. What follows are 10 minutes of careful, respectful questions. He asks about Wayne's career, his philosophy, his view of America and what it means to stand for something in a changing world. Wayne answers the same way he always has. Slow, deliberate, grounded. Every sentence carries weight. Every pause feels intentional. But now there's context behind it. The audience understands they're not just listening to an actor talk about films. They're listening to a man define himself in real time. No one laughs unnecessarily. No one interrupts the moment, because the lesson has already been delivered. When the segment ends, the audience rises to its feet. Not because the cue sign tells them to, because they want to. The applause is long, steady, and filled with something deeper than admiration. It's reverence, the kind reserved for figures who have outgrown their profession and become something more. Wayne stands, nods once, and shakes Carson's hand again. Then he turns and walks off stage with the same unhurried dignity he carried in. No flourish, no acknowledgement beyond what's necessary. He doesn't perform his exit. He simply leaves. Backstage, the noise of the studio fades into a quieter, more uncertain atmosphere. Crew members move carefully, as if something important just passed through, and they don't want to disturb what's left behind. Carson finds Wayne near the dressing area, adjusting his coat, preparing to go. For a moment, Carson hesitates, then he steps forward. "Duke, I hope I didn't offend you out there." Wayne turns. Up close, the reality is impossible to ignore. The years, the illness, they've taken their toll. He looks older than 69 now, more worn. There's a heaviness in his face, a fatigue that no amount of strength can fully hide. But the presence, still there, unshaken. "You didn't offend me, Johnny," Wayne says. Carson waits. Wayne studies him for a moment, then places a hand on his shoulder. It's not threatening, but it's heavy, not just physically, symbolically, the weight of decades, of experience, of a life lived under pressure. "You're a smart man," Wayne continues. "Funny, good at what you do. But you live in a world where everything's a joke, where nothing's serious, where tearing people down gets laughs." His voice lowers, almost to a whisper. "I live in a different world, where some things matter more than getting laughs." The words land harder than anything said on stage. Carson feels it, not as an insult, but as something else entirely. A challenge, a perspective he can't easily dismiss. "This isn't about television," Wayne says quietly, "and it's not about movies. It's about how you choose to live." "I understand," Carson replies. Wayne looks at him, really looks at him. "Do you?" There's no anger in the question, only honesty. Wayne continues, his voice steady. "Real power isn't about how many people watch your show or how many laugh at your jokes. Real power is about standing for something when it's hard, about being the same man when the cameras are off as when they're on." He removes his hand from Carson's shoulder. "You've got influence, Johnny. 30 million people listen to you every night." A pause. "What are you telling them?" And with that, he turns and walks away. No goodbye, no lingering, just gone. Carson stands there, watching him leave, understanding something he hadn't fully grasped before, that what he just experienced wasn't a disagreement. It was a lesson in leadership, in consistency, in the kind of authority that doesn't come from a stage, a network, or an audience, but from a lifetime of living by a code. The episode airs 3 weeks later. Critics notice the tension immediately. Some say Carson crossed a line with his question. Others argue Wayne overreacted, that he took things too seriously. But they miss what actually happened. Wayne wasn't defending himself. He was defining himself. Carson's influence came from where he sat, his platform, his reach, his ability to shape conversation. Wayne's influence came from who he was, from 47 years of being exactly the man people believed him to be. The Shootist becomes his final starring role. 3 years later, in June 1979, John Wayne is gone. Carson announces his passing on The Tonight Show, speaking with respect, acknowledging the magnitude of the loss. But he never tells the story of what happened backstage that night. Some moments aren't meant for entertainment. Some lessons aren't meant to be shared lightly. Years pass. And eventually, when Carson steps away from television himself, closing the chapter on one of the most influential careers in broadcasting, he agrees to one final interview with a reporter from Time magazine. The reporter leans forward slightly, sensing the weight of the moment. What moment in your career taught you the most about the nature of celebrity? Johnny Carson doesn't answer right away. For a man known for his timing, for always having the perfect response ready, the silence feels unusual. He looks down for a brief second, as if searching through decades of memories, thousands of guests, countless conversations, moments that blurred together over years of television. Then he speaks. There was a night in 1976, he says quietly. John Wayne was my guest. He pauses again, not for effect, but because the memory still carries something with it. I thought I was being clever, Carson continues. I asked him a question about the difference between his screen image and who he really was. A faint smile crosses his face. Not pride, recognition. He didn't get angry. He didn't try to embarrass me. He didn't raise his voice. Carson looks up now, meeting the reporter's eyes. He just showed me what real authority looks like. The reporter doesn't interrupt. He lets the moment breathe before asking the next question. What did you learn from that? Carson exhales slowly. That there's a difference, he says, choosing his words carefully, between being famous and being respected. Another pause. I was famous, he admits. Duke was respected. There's no bitterness in it, no regret, just clarity. And respect, Carson adds, isn't something you can manufacture. You can't fake it, and you can't turn it on when the cameras start rolling. You earn it, every day, over time. He leans back slightly. 47 years in his case. That night in 1976 quietly becomes something of a legend, not to the general public, but to those inside the industry. Producers talk about it. Writers reference it. Young hosts hear the story as a kind of warning disguised as wisdom. Because what happened on that stage wasn't just an awkward exchange, it was a moment where television itself met its limits. A medium built on timing, humor, and control, suddenly faced with something it couldn't shape, couldn't redirect, couldn't soften for entertainment. It faced authenticity. John Wayne proved something that night without ever announcing it. Real power doesn't come from commanding attention. It comes from deserving it. It doesn't come from controlling the conversation. It comes from standing for something so clearly that no one questions where you stand. And it certainly doesn't come from making people laugh. It comes from making people believe. Carson changed after that, not dramatically, not in a way the average viewer would immediately notice. He was still sharp, still funny, still the master of late-night television. But there was a shift beneath the surface, a greater sense of respect in the way he approached certain guests, a little more restraint when it came to easy jokes at someone else's expense. He never tried to become John Wayne. That was never the point. But he understood what Wayne represented. In an industry built on illusion, on characters, scripts, and carefully managed personas, Wayne stood apart. He didn't act like the man people believed him to be. He was that man, and that made all the difference. What happened backstage at NBC that night was more than a private conversation between two powerful figures. It was something symbolic, a quiet passing of the torch. Old Hollywood meeting new Hollywood. Substance confronting style. Years after that night, the story continues to echo in places most people would never think to look. Not in headlines, not in reruns, but in the quiet decisions made behind cameras. Young hosts coming up through television hear fragments of it from producers who were there, or from writers who studied the moment like a case study in what not to underestimate. They don't always hear the full story, but they hear enough. Don't mistake presence for performance. Don't confuse a guest with a persona. And most importantly, don't assume control just because you're holding the microphone. Because sometimes the person sitting across from you doesn't need the platform. They are the platform. Carson himself never turned that moment into a public lesson. He didn't retell it on stage. didn't build it into a monologue, didn't reshape it into entertainment. Instead, he carried it privately, letting it influence how he worked rather than how he was perceived. And over time, those subtle changes added up. Interviews became a little more grounded. Certain guests were treated with a quieter kind of respect. The humor was still there, but more measured, more intentional. Carson didn't lose his edge. He refined it, because he understood something now that couldn't be unseen. There are different kinds of power. There's the power of attention, the kind television thrives on. It's fast, reactive, fueled by applause and laughter. It can rise overnight and disappear just as quickly. And then there's the power of identity, the kind John Wayne carried. That kind doesn't rely on audience approval. It doesn't shift with trends. It doesn't need to prove itself in every moment because it has already been proven over years, over choices, over consistency. That's what made that night in 1976 so rare. It wasn't just a great interview. It was a collision between two different worlds. One built on timing, wit, and control. The other built on principle, discipline, and unwavering self-definition. And in that collision, something became clear, not just to Carson, but to anyone paying close enough attention. Fame can open doors. It can put you in front of millions. It can give you influence, reach, and recognition. But respect is slower, heavier, harder to earn, and impossible to fake. John Wayne didn't walk into Studio One that night to prove anything. He walked in as a man who already had. And when he left, he didn't just finish an interview. He left behind a standard, one that couldn't be matched with jokes, ratings, or applause. Only with time, authority teaches, influence reacts. And somewhere between those two lies the quiet but powerful difference between having power and carrying responsibility. That night in 1976 wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic in the way most people expect. There were no arguments, no raised voices, no headlines the next morning screaming about controversy. But for the people who understood what they were watching, for the ones paying attention, it was unforgettable. Because what John Wayne showed in that moment wasn't dominance. It was control. Not control over a room, not control over a conversation, control over himself. And that's where real authority begins. Johnny Carson had influence. Millions of people tuned in every night, laughed at his jokes, followed his lead. He could shape public opinion with a single monologue. That kind of reach is rare and powerful. But Wayne reminded him of something deeper. Influence can be given. Authority has to be earned. It's built slowly, through consistency, through choices made when no one is watching, through standing by something even when it's inconvenient, even when it costs you. That's why moments like this last. Not because they entertain, but because they reveal. They show us the gap between who someone appears to be and who they actually are. And more importantly, they make us ask the same question about ourselves. So now I'll ask you, when in your life has someone shown you the difference between being popular and being respected? Was it a teacher, a mentor, a parent, someone who didn't need attention to command it? Drop your answer in the comments. I'd genuinely love to hear your story. And if this moment stayed with you, if it made you think a little deeper about what real strength and character look like, then make sure you hit that subscribe button for John Wayne Legacy Stories. We're not just telling stories, we're uncovering the moments that shaped the Duke and the lessons they still hold for us today. Because in the end, real authority doesn't announce itself. It doesn't demand recognition. And it never needs to prove anything. It simply stands, steady, consistent, undeniable, and lets the world catch up.